think we need to immediately detain and deport Egyptian so-called activist Alaa Abd el Fattah. Now, if any of us tweeted what he did, we'd be locked up. He's spoken in the past about shooting white people at random, being openly racist. He's referenced suicide bombings. He's been rampantly anti-Semitic. He's spoken about killing police officers. Now, if he'd have said any of that, but about ethnic minorities, and said it just after the Southport massacre, he'd currently be doing a 5-stretch in Wormwood Scrubs. We also need to strip him of his ridiculous British citizenship. If that man is British, then I am a polka-dot bikini-wearing alien from Mars called Balubu. Here's how he actually reportedly got his British citizenship. El Fattah was automatically granted British citizenship whilst in an Egyptian prison in 2021 under an immigration law that allows mothers to transmit their UK citizenship to their children even if they are outside Britain. His mother was born in London whilst his grandmother was studying in the UK. Until 2019, applicants using this route were still subject to what's known as a good character test, which presumably El Fattah would probably have failed because of all of the extremist stuff that he's tweeted. But the law was changed after the Supreme Court ruled that the requirement was incompatible with the ECHR following a legal challenge by a foreign murderer. And Mr. Fattah, therefore, did not sit the test. Every single sentence of that gets more mental, doesn't it? There you go. Another classic from the ECHR there. But here are some politicians who backed him. Nepo baby Foreign Office Minister Hamish Faulkner, the son of a Labour peer, welcomed him, quote, back to Britain. Now, look, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think there's any evidence that he's ever actually been to Britain before. But there is evidence that he tweeted that he is, quote, far from British, and he's also called British people dogs and monkeys. Yvette Cooper's celebrated him being in Britain. I look forward to her husband Ed Balls interviewing her about this on Good Morning Britain. Mastermind himself, David Lammy, he's backed him. Another foreign man that Lammy has let wander out of a prison and onto Britain's streets. And of course, the Prime Minister himself, Sir Keir Starmer, said he was delighted that he's in Britain. Well, you know what Sir Keir Starmer is trying to say now, don't you? That he wasn't aware of his social media posts. Well, I'm not sure I buy that, given the fact that he said this in 2022.
And can I start by raising the case of Alaa Abd el Fattah?
Yes.
As the Prime Minister knows and has said, he's a British citizen, jailed for the crime of posting on social media and been imprisoned in Egypt for most of the last 9 years. Yeah. He's been on hunger strike for the last 6 months.
Keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN. A delicious clip there that not only suggests that Starmer was well aware of El Fattah's social media presence, but also hilariously shows how he used to think that it was a bad thing that people were locked up for social media posts. The irony. Of course, I'm sure it's just a coincidence that one of the main people who pushed for El Fattah to be released and to come to Britain is Philippe Sands KC. You might remember him. He's circled in the bottom left of your screen there. He's Keir Starmer's friend, and he's also the same bloke that was the lawyer for Mauritius over the Chagos debacle. Look, what a ridiculous, pathetic excuse it is to say that Starmer wasn't aware of his tweets. He expects us to trust that his government is going to vet, background check and process tens of thousands of illegal fighting-age men who have crossed the English Channel. But his government couldn't do a 10-minute online search to find out if this guy had said anything like, we should randomly shoot white people, or he'd like to use a drone to attack people's weddings. I think the worst one for me, though, is Tory MP Alicia Kearns. She celebrated his release and said that he must be returned home to Brighton. I have no idea why she was given a safe Tory seat, because from what I can tell, she's basically a woke, wet Liberal Democrat, but she's tried to backtrack now. Those of us who campaigned for Alaa Abd el Fattah's protection and release as a British citizen plainly were not aware of his grotesque tweets, and at no point had anyone raised them with me until yesterday. I trusted the process to give Alaa citizenship and then supported the campaign for his release. I feel deeply let down and frankly betrayed, having lent my support to his cause, which I now regret. It is wholly improper for British citizens to be detained without due process by foreign states. However, Alaa must unequivocally apologise and make clear he now wholly rejects the hatred and anti-Semitism he expressed, which is so wholly incompatible with British values. OK, let me translate that for you, all right? What she really says here is, I'm sorry that I was so gullible and incompetent. I jumped on a virtue signalling bandwagon, it's backfired, and now I look like a right mug. I didn't bother to do even the most basic bit of due diligence. Neither did anyone working for me. But if this apparently anti-Semitic bloke apologises and says he's changed, then we can all move on. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. But this is a clear example of the uni party, I'm afraid. The Tories are the ones who gave him British citizenship. Well, El Fattah has actually now taken Alicia Kearns' advice. He's released a statement. I'm going to paraphrase it. He said that some of his comments were taken out of context. He's apologised unequivocally for some of his remarks. And he says that he was a young man at the time and he was angry. OK, so I believe that he was about 32 years old at the time. That's just a year younger than I am now. Jog on, mate. In the last hour or so, Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper have released statements. They say his posts are abhorrent and there's been a, quote, information failure. I mean, the information failure is literally just that nobody checked his social media accounts. The only intelligence failure is going on inside Keir Starmer's head. How gullible is this guy? How gullible is our Prime Minister? At no point in the last few years did he think, shall someone check this guy's tweets? Just make sure he's not a wrong 'un. No, he saw an ethnic minority locked up abroad and hopped on a lefty human rights bandwagon. He even met his mother in Downing Street, for goodness sake. Look at that, there he is. Or does anyone want to just check his Twitter? I mean, despite admitting that this was an intelligence failure, which, by the way, implies that if they knew then what they know now about this guy, then they wouldn't have let him come to Britain. That's the implication here. If we knew now all of this, we would not let him into Britain. They're refusing to deport him. We are refusing to deport him. The government says that Alaa Abd el Fattah's posts about killing Zionists are not enough to remove his citizenship. I mean, how do you think the Jewish community feels? That the very top of this Labour government are literally celebrating the fact that that guy's been allowed to come to Britain. Nigel Farage has reported him to counter-terrorism police. Good. The one bonus to come out of this fiasco is basically more than any other single case in living memory, this case highlights the idiocy of our political leaders, the stupidity of left-wing lovey celebrities who supported causes like this, the two-tier nature of what is considered to be hate speech, and the bias of the establishment media. Look at this. The Guardian's front page ran with a story, a very spurious story, about a former school teacher of Nigel Farage saying that he might have been a bit mean to younger boys at school when he was 17 years old. But their diplomatic editor has been doing gushing tweets about a bloke who openly describes himself as a racist and made horrific anti-Semitic comments on social media just a few years ago. You couldn't make this up. You couldn't make it up. Look, I don't care what anyone says. Alaa Abd el Fattah is not British. He has no business being in Britain. He should be detained and deported, and if his family care about him that much, they can go and live with him somewhere else.